Hi everyone, I've got a couple of bikes I want to talk about today, and after a lot of requests, yep, the Torque-On get probably asked about the most, and I just thought I'd do a quick 5-minute video all about my experience with riding them. I have ridden both these bikes 3,000 kilometers on each one, so it's about 2,000 miles on each bike. I've got a fair understanding of how they work. Canyon have been tried to be quite progressive and quite adventurous with their bikes. The fact that they have a bike like the Torque-On, which is a 27.5 on the front, 27.5 on the back, 180mm travel on the... It's an extremely aggressive bike, full-on enduro downhill bike basically. I've had this one going on for about a year and a bit as well, the CFR from the Canyon Spectral on. It's a carbon frame bike, it's a trail bike. They do cross over a bit, but this is more of a sort of trail bike, big battery, 900 watt hour battery. This has got a 500 watt hour battery. Two different bikes, two different worlds. This is 27.5, 27.5. This is 27.5, 29er, so it's a mullet. Almost like an epic choice to have for any ride, whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. It's kind of like the ultimate quiver of bikes to have. And there aren't actually that many companies out there that do this or have in their range two such bikes that you can cover literally everything with. The Spectral on. This is a trail bike, so it's got 160mm of travel, 36 fork on it, 60 on the back, 160 on the front. It's a mid-travel bike, it's not a long travel. It's got the Shimano motor on it, it's got the EP8, this one's got the EP8 as well, so it's both got the same motors. If I'm only able to buy but one of them, which one do I buy? It's kind of a difficult question because you can have fun on both of them. This is more likely to be the one you're going to buy if you're going to kind of do everything. So you want a trail ride, you want to ride off-road on some pretty tough trail, go long exploratory rides, go up big mountains, all those kind of things. This bike would be the bike for you to buy. If, however, you just want to ride lap, you just want to ride a particular route, it's probably quite tough maybe, it's got some downhill big jumps or it's got some really rocky stuff. I have done with both bikes the same trails and the same routes. Now the limiting factor of this one is, of the Torque, is basically the range. I mean, it's a 500 watt hour battery, so you either need a second battery, which they do offer when you buy these bikes, or you need to be very, very fit and use eco mode. Absolute range of this, I would say, is about 1,100 meters, more or less, for a 200-pound rider or a 90-kilo rider like myself. This thing, the 900 watt hour battery, I've actually yet, in more than a year and a half, to flatten this battery. I have never done a route where in one go I have completely emptied the battery where the bike has switched off. That's never happened. For the ultimate range, you get this. Another thing to talk about is the geometry. This has got more of an upright riding position, more compact reach. This has got a long reach, meant for speed, riding fast. You're in an attack position most of the time. Feels more, the seat post is further back. This is more vertical, so this climbs better with the geometry from the pedaling efficiency point of view. This one, a little bit shorter, feels a little bit more maneuverable on climbing, especially on steep, get around those tight corners. Time in the saddle, for length of time, yeah, you can spend more time in the saddle on this. So what about on the descents? Okay, well, this thing flies. It's so fast, you can do pretty much anything you like. It's super stable, hit the biggest jumps, you can hit the gnarliest trails. This thing absolutely flies, super squashes everything, because this thing at speed, unbelievably fun and unbelievably fast. This descending is actually really surprising. It is quite stable. It does do well, especially if you're a good rider. You don't really need more than this unless you really want to sort of just float through things without feeling it or without thinking about it. You have to think what you're doing when you're riding this. Epic bike, quicker in the corners, the mullet setup, you can feel that, you can whip in and out of corner. Climbing. Now, this is where these two bikes differ quite a lot. This thing climbs anything, goes straight up the hill, no problem. You do have to pay a special attention to technical climbs on this because of the way the geometry is set up, which is more for descending. This thing's more about just get you to the top. It might not get you to the top in the best way. You're going to have a better ride feel, more grip getting to the top on this. I think they've chosen the right compromise because they're not trying to do anything apart from gravity with this bike. It's about riding laps and just hitting the trails and having a lot of fun. And honestly, most of the trails I ride with this, where I do need to get to the top, are mostly gravel roads anyway. This thing climbing is a lot better. You can get around tight corners, you can go up really steep hills. The motor power's good. The whole balance of the bike uphill is a lot better. You can really fly up those hills, and it becomes more part of the ride than just a transfer section to get you to your destination, which is the top of the trail. And maneuverability wise, they're both fairly similar. This is a bit lighter, this one, even though it's got a bigger battery. This has got a really robust, strong aluminium frame. In the context of slow speed, this is more maneuverable. In the context of high speed, I prefer this one, although you've got to be going really fast to actually notice, let's say. If it had a 27.5-inch wheel on it, it would feel less stable, and that's the advantage of this type of mullet setup: stability and maneuverability. That's the way to think of it. So last thing to talk about is the suspension. This thing 38, it eats everything up. Absolutely love it. This thing, it's a good fork, does work surprisingly well, and I have done long rides where I have discovered this bike to be very comfortable to ride compared to this one, and it was a surprise, where I would want this, but I've been on this. This does have a bigger disc on the front. It's got a 230 or 220mm disc. This has got a 200mm disc, so braking wise, this thing brakes a lot more. On the long descents, when you're getting to the bottom and you're really overheating the brakes, I prefer this one. Both of them, well, 3,000 kilometers on both of them. They both stood up really well. This has already had the chain changed on it once. This hasn't. This needs its chain changing now. This is actually a SRAM cassette. This is a Shimano XTR. SRAM versus Shimano is always the same question, but yeah, XTR been very reliable, very smooth. Even though they're different systems, they've worked equally well. They've both been, all the components have worked well, no frame issues. Everything has functioned as I would expect. Unbelievably reliable. Then, which bike am I going to buy, and which bike would I buy? Well, do it all rider, then you go for this, the Spectral on. Do as much gravity as you can, get this with a second battery, and then you'll have an excellent lot of fun. Any questions about these bikes or anything you want to know, particularly on long-term use of these, write a comment below. Don't forget to give a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.